The free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wings in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. Dr. Margaret Annie Johnson once said, "Courage is the most important of all virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. You can practice any virtue erratically, but nothing consistently without courage." Maya Angelou has had a countless amount of courage to overcome all of the obstacles in her lifetime, leading her to achieve numerous accomplishments. Dr. Angelou is a phenomenal woman with many talents. She is an honored poet, memorist, novelist, educator, dramatist, producer, actress, historian, filmmaker, and civil rights activist. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. Margaret Annie Johnson, well known as Maya Angelou, was born in St. Louis, Missouri on April 4, 1928. Dr. Angelou was the second child born to Bailey Johnson and Vivian Baxter Johnson. Her brother, Bailey Jr., gave her the name Maya as a child. After her parents' divorce in 1931, she moved to Stamps, Arkansas, which introduced Maya to brutal racial discrimination. Maya read literature work by the authors Shakespeare, Kipling, Poe, Paul Dunbar, Langston Hughes, and W.E.B. Du Bois to escape from reality. At age 8, she arrived back to her family in St. Louis. Dr. Angelou was sexually molested by her mother's lover, Mr. Freeman. Her uncle murdered him after the incident. Filled with fear and guilt, Maya cut off communication and pushed loved ones away. She rebuilt her self-esteem by blocking the outside world and reading classic literature. She excelled in school and graduated with honors in the 8th grade. The caged bird sings with fearful trill of the things unknown but long for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, where the caged bird sings of freedom. As a teen, Maya dreamed about being a real estate agent. After summer school graduation, she gave birth to Clyde Bailey Guy Johnson. To support her child, she moved to California to work a variety of jobs. She was involved in prostitution and sold stolen clothes because she was unable to financially support her child. The junkie she had sold stolen clothes to influenced her to stay away from drugs and escape the rough life. She pulled herself together by getting a legitimate job and clerking in a record shop. At the age of 22, Margaret married Tosh Angelos and settled in Los Angeles. Her mixed-race marriage to the Greek-American sailor was disapproved by her family and her neighborhood. The relationship ended after a few years, near the time of her mother's death. After this event, Maya's performing career escalated. She toured Europe and studied modern dance with Martha Graham, and recorded her first record album, Calypso Lady, in 1957. By the end of the 1950s, she desired to increase her writing skills and moved to New York, joining the Harlem Writers Guild. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. Throughout Maya's adult life, she succeeded many accomplishments. In 1959, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. requested Maya Angelou to become the Northern Coordinator for the Southern Christian Leadership. In the 1960s, she was Associate Editor of the Arab Observer in Cairo, Egypt. Dr. Angelou was the feature editor of the African Review in Accra, Ghana from 1964 to 1966. To end off the 1960s, she wrote I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which was nominated for the National Book Award. This novel is an autobiography of the early stages of her life, which illustrate her strength, integrity, and the battles she pushed through to be the successful woman she is today. Maya Angelou was once said, "I can be changed, but what happens to me, I refuse to be reduced by it." But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream, his wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. In the beginning of the 1970s, Angelou wrote the screenplay and musical score for the film, Georgia. She was both author and executive producer of 5-part television miniseries, Three-Way Choice. She has also written multiple prize-winning documentaries. In 1971, she was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize for the poem, Just Give Me a Cool Drink of Water Before I Die. At request, she wrote and delivered a poem on the pulse of the morning at the inauguration for President Bill Clinton in 1993. She wrote numerous books and poems, many of which were nominated for awards. In 2000, Angelou received the National Medal of Arts. She received the Ford's Theatre Lincoln Medal in 2008. That same year, Maya narrated the award-winning documentary film, The Black Candle, and published a book of guidance for young women. In 2010, Angelou was rewarded for Presidential Medal by President Barack Obama. Dr. Maya Angelou today is a Reynolds Professor of American Studies at Wake Forest University. The caged bird sings with fearful trill of things unknown belonged were still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill where the caged bird sings of freedom. This strong, miraculous woman, Dr. Maya Angelou, expresses this story throughout her works of literature. She speaks a message about never letting anything defeat you and to keep striving forward. Maya once said, "You will face many defeats in your life, but never let yourself be defeated."